Hey y'all, welcome to Craftable Things. I'm Patrice, and today we are going to be testing out this Waterslide Decal paper from Koala. And y'all, they say that you don't need any spray. All right, y'all. So I'm very curious to see how this is going to turn out because typically with water slide paper, you need to spray your acrylic sealer on top. And so this one says that there's no spray required. So I'm very interested in checking that out. This is for inkjet and or laser printers. The paper that we're going to be using today is an 8.5 by 11 and it is white. So you have the transparent water slide sheets and then you also have these white water slide sheets. And so we are going to see what we can make with it and how this works. So before we jump into opening up our package, make sure to hit the thumbs up. Also, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please be sure to hit that subscribe button below. It's a little red square below. Make sure to hit that. And also head over to Facebook and join us on Facebook. We are also Craftable Things. I would love it, and I'm sure all of our other group members would love it if you joined us there as well. So let's get into, first we're going to take a close look at this, look at these instructions, and see what we need to do to get this project complete and hopefully make this a successful project. So before we get started, we're going to just look at the items that we will be using today. Today we are going to be using this bowl from the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to put something on it. And we are also going to be using this mug from the Dollar Tree as well. And what you have to do is you want to make sure you measure your surface so that you know what size to print this out, because you will need to print your design out from your computer. We are also going to be using a cutting machine to cut our design because yeah, I don't think I really want to just use scissors. So we're going to be using our cutting machine just to make sure our cuts are clean. So let's look at the paper, and this is the paper, and as you'll see, no need spray. All right, and Koala is the brand, and we are just gonna see how this will look. We have matte sheets and only 5 sheets, so hopefully I won't mess it up. And it's for inkjet and laser printers. Now we're ready to open our paper, and the instructions are listed very nicely on the back side of the packaging, so you should have no problem with following those directions. And we are just going to open this up. Per the directions and information on the back, this paper can be used with wood, with glass, with ceramic, with other types of different metals. It can be used with a wide variety of items, except of course textile and clothing items. All right, y'all, so per the instructions, the printable side is the more smooth, flat side, and it appears to be a little wider than the opposite side. This side, you can feel the difference in the texture, so that should not be a problem. So I know already, just based off of feel and what the instructions tell me, this is the printable side. So it's more smooth and it's wider and it's not as rough as the back side. And it's not, the back side really isn't rough. It just feels like cardstock. That's what the back feels like. It feels more like cardstock. So you want the smooth side. So we're gonna print on this side. And let's go ahead and load up our printer. I already have the images that we're going to be using, so we don't need to design anything. Now we're inside of Cricut Design Space, and my images are perfectly sized based off of what I measured it. You want to make sure that you have correct measurements. Also, you don't need to mirror your image, and in addition, I would recommend calibrating your machine prior to printing it out. Also, I use the cut setting of medium cardstock for this particular material since I'm just testing it out for now. All right, y'all, so now we're getting ready to send this to the printer, and as you see, I'm using the Cricut to get this cut out, and The steps also, well, they suggest just cutting with scissors, but if you don't have a machine, you can totally do this without a machine. Okay, so then we are going to look at the paper type. So they're suggesting that we select photo paper and we just do standard print quality. That's for inkjet. I'm using an inkjet. For laser, it's different. Right, so we're all done, and this is what our colors look like. And I like our colors with this setting better. I actually used quality. I did not use the standard print, and so they look really good. So typically after printing, we would spray it a few times, but now since this is, you know, no spray required, we are just going to go ahead and cut it. I'm cutting this with the medium cardstock setting, as this is my first time cutting it. I'm not going to remove the mat until I'm for certain that it cut through. So let's check and see, and it actually does feel like it has it cut all the way through, and it appears it has. So we can go ahead and remove it, and that's what we have. So now we're just going to go ahead and remove it because I want to use this paper again. I don't want to mess it up, so I do want to be careful how I remove it. So we're just removing the mat away from the paper, the cardstock. All right, so this is what we have so far, and I think I made my image for the mug pretty much the same color, but we're gonna go with it and see how it looks. It's a little more vibrant than the mug, so I'm happy with that. And we do have a little white around it, which is fine, but I probably need to calibrate my machine again, but it's okay. So we're just gonna try this. So now it's time to apply our decal, and you want to make sure you clean the surfaces of whatever it is you'll be placing it on. And so I'm just using a little 99% alcohol in the paper towel to wipe the area of both items that we'll be using today. And you want to get a bowl of, I'm using warm water, and you want to place your decals inside of the water and pretty much let that water saturate those decals. After you're done doing that, you want to go ahead and make sure you moisten your item. So I like to kind of drench it in water. I put a piece of paper towel underneath my tumble cradle just so that I could catch the water. And now we are going to get ready to apply it. And you want to make sure you kind of help it slide because you're going to pull that back sheet off of from behind the top layer. And y'all, I was not paying attention. And as I'm only trying to hold down the left side, I ripped my decal. And so I didn't realize it until I went back and looked at the video. And so yeah, it was all my fault. And honestly, while I was doing it, I was really blaming Koala. I'm like, oh my goodness, this paper is so flimsy. But y'all, it was 100% my fault because I was not paying attention, and it had a lot to do with the cut. So because I had several different cuts on this particular image, something like that can happen. So be careful if you decide to do an image like this where you have cuts within your image. So now I'm just using my fingers because I tried to use the silicone brush, which I typically use, but it just seemed to work better me using my fingers and smoothing everything out. And of course I was trying to piece back that T and S together. Now I am getting ready to apply our mug, our decal for our mug, and this is fairly simple to apply. Just make sure that you keep it moist, okay? You want to keep it moist. You want to make sure your fingers are moist because that's how you can move everything around more easily, and you want to make sure you move it around before it starts to dry, okay? And so now I'm just reapplying water using my silicone brush to try to brush out some of those bubbles and to actually get rid of the water that is underneath the decal, right? And of course, I'm going to go back to my fingers because those work wonders. and it just worked better. And I love how this pumpkin looks on this orange. And I'm just gonna now take my paper towel and just remove any water that might still be there. I let them both sit for a second, and then I'm just removing that water before we get ready to head over to our oven. I'm going to be placing this into my Hamilton Beach convection oven that I also use for sublimation, and I will be leaving this inside of the convection oven for about 10 to 15 minutes at 230 degrees. That is recommended. Now, if you have items that can't go inside of an oven, you can use a heat gun as the instructions indicate on your packaging. But we're going to let this cook and we will see what it looks like once it's done. All right, guys, so we're done from inside of the oven, and this is a close-up look at our bowl, and it looks pretty good. I am used to the transparent water slide, but this looks good, and I guess it's okay, but I still feel like I might want to seal it with something, even if it's like some epoxy. So if I were to put this on a tumbler or something, I still feel like I would want to seal it. It doesn't feel as smooth. I don't know if you've used the transparent before, but the transparent feels a little more smooth to me, like when touching, and here I can definitely feel those edges, and it could be the cut, that could be what it is, but for the most part it actually looks pretty good. This is a close-up, and where I messed up at, it looks like I might have had the T overlapping. Like right here it's fine, but I do see, you know, it didn't necessarily do all that well there, but that was probably just me, especially with that cut and then pulling the backing off, and I really wasn't paying attention, so that's possibly what happened there. But for the most part, I think the colors look great on it, and our bowl looks pretty good. As y'all see here, like I did not piece that together really good. But for the most part, this is a close up. And if you look really closely, you can tell like how thick, you know, it's a little thicker. It's not thick, but you can, you know, the water slide definitely kind of blends in a little bit better, or the transparent water slide blends in a little better, I think, but I'm pretty thrilled with how it looks, though. I think it looks good. All right, so here is our mug, and I love how the mug turned out. Here's a close-up look of the mug. All right, y'all, so we're all done with testing out this Koala No Need Spray Water Slide Decal paper, and thanks Koala for sending me this paper so that I could try it out and let everyone know what I think about it. So it's fairly easy to use. The instructions are very clear, and honestly, y'all, I was excited about testing this out because when I do water slide, you have to spray it like a few times, and then you have to wait in between each time you spray, and so it does take a while to water slide. This, I was completed with this in about 30 minutes, honestly. And most of that time, I stuck these in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. So that took up a lot of the time. So you can get it done really quickly with this no need spray. So let's look at the items that we made a little closer. So we made this mug, and the mug looks pretty good. It looks good. I'm happy with how the mug turned out. I do feel like I want to seal this with something though. Not an acrylic spray, but maybe like an epoxy or something. The color looks beautiful, and the color did not fade when we placed it inside of that water. So I'm happy about that. But you do want to make sure, like, you know, that it's on here really nicely. All right, and then we had our bowl. And y'all, I love how this bowl turned out, even though I ripped the water slide decal paper. So you want to make sure that you're very careful with this paper when using it. I did find that I needed to put more water. Like, I just kept putting water on it, and like pushing out the air bubbles and the water with my fingers worked a lot better than me using the silicone brush. So I very gently pushed that water out and pushed the air out to kind of smooth it onto the surface. And so I found that that worked better. I don't know if, you know, if it's the brush that I use, if that wasn't a good brush to use with it, but I usually use that brush when I'm doing water slide. So for the most part, I'm pretty happy with it, but I do feel like I want to possibly do some sealer on it. Now with these designs, I did cut out the centers. So it's not one solid design, like not a full circle, like I actually cut out as you guys saw. So I don't know if that makes a difference in how I feel it, because I can feel it. It's not, it seems like it's a little thicker than the transparent Waterslide decal paper. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I do feel like I want to seal it. And you want to make sure you have a lot of water in hand. Make sure that the surface is nice and drenched, and keep your hands and fingers, you know, in that water so that you can kind of maneuver this water slide around on your item. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button below and head over to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok and check Craftable Things out there as well. But that is going to be it for today, y'all. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time.